We good? All right. We want to say we are sorry for the audio last week. It's the first time we had an issue with the audio. We want to make sure we're not having an issue with the audio now because we're in a new place. All praises to the Most High. We're going to see if it's going to be consistent. Right? I'm talking to the owners of the place, and we're going to see if we're going to be here consistently. See if it's going to be consistent. So we want to make sure the audio is great. Is the audio great?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah? Nothing's blending from here to there? We're good?
It's clear.
All right. All praise to the Most High God. What's up, Doug?
What's up, babe?
I don't know. Tell me what's happening. Talk to the people one
How
time.
to get into this class.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Remnant. It's a privilege to be here.
Yes, it
Get
is.
This information.
Yes, it is.
These downloads from the Most High. and Holy
You sure
Holy.
looking fly there, wife. Huh? What you gonna tell the people though?
I always say bring your whole mind.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came into this information, as a person who liked to talk a lot and was saying nothing, I learned that it was best to sit back, listen, observe, get the information first before you give your opinion. A lot of times, if you just let the information play itself out, you will understand. You'll get it. Even if you've never heard it before, it'll make sense to you. You just sit back and listen and wait for comments or wait to give, your opinion and your 2 cents. So sometimes you'll find yourself when you get to the end being like, I wish I didn't say that. So I got it now. But it's always good to just learn to listen, especially when you're coming new into some new information. Just listen. Even if you have to listen for a few classes, just listen. Just listen, and I guarantee you it will start making a whole lot of sense to you. Because where you at right now in this indoctrination have taught you something totally different. We teach you how to conquer indoctrination. So if you sit back, listen, pay close attention, I guarantee you'll get it.
All praises to the Most High.
All praises.
All right. So, there's your seat there. Oh, you decided not to sit there? Oh, okay. Huh? Oh, okay. All right. So, the class, this outreach tonight, when I was growing up, they used to say that conversation run the nation. Right? And they said it as something clever. But the class tonight is Satan never physically touched Eve. He just talked to her. The greatest fall in human history happened by conversation. I can remember when I was going to prison, and before I went to prison, I had a conversation with Dove. And I told her, I said, I got to go to prison. I said, but what I want you to understand that if it is physicality that just connects you to me, you ain't gonna make it. I said, listen, there is a love greater than physical love. Follow me and bring your whole mind. There's a love greater than physical love. I said, you know how I know it? Because I've never seen God one time, yet I love him more than anything on this earth by far. I want you to think about that. A lot of you have moved from all over this country for the love of the Most High, and you ain't never seen him. Woo! Think about it. That's why you can control your appetites. That's why I know you can control your appetites. You've moved from all over this country here with me to do this work. All these different states. for the love of the Most High God, and you've never seen him and physically touched him, but his word to you, his word to your heart allowed you to transition and make that move, that some of your families is still bewildered that you're not in that state anymore. So just think about that as we get into this. So I was telling Doug, if it's just physicality that you have with me, you ain't gonna make it. And like I explained to you, I was explaining it to her. I said, folks haven't seen God, and folks blow themselves up for the quote unquote love of their God. I mean, commit suicide. They ain't never seen him, he ain't never caressed him, he ain't never held them or hugged them. Right? So I told her, we're gonna have to identify with each other by that greater love. That's most important to me, that greater love. And we 27 years, and I proved that sure enough, even though I did 3 years in the feds, that greater love that we tapped into was greater than physical love. We got married when I was in the holding for the state case, because I had two cases. I had a state case and a federal case. In my state case, we got married behind the glass. I couldn't touch her. She couldn't touch me. The minister was there giving our I do's and all that through the glass. And all we did was, you know how you do that, you see in the movies, where y'all just put your hand on the window and both of y'all touch each other. I love you. I love you too, baby. That's what that was. But because we had tapped into something greater than physical, here we are today, still standing, 27 years married. Do you feel me? All right. So I'm trying to tell you something by the topic that we're talking about tonight. Satan never physically touched Eve. He just talked to her. Whew. And through conversation, the greatest fall in humankind happened through conversation. If you fall, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be through conversation. Watch this. Sometimes you make the move and somebody in your family is talking to you about the move you made, and they just keep at you and in your ear. It could be somebody in your own family close to you that keeps talking to you and talking to you. And you realize that you're motivated and that it moves you in a certain kind of way. I had a situation with my father. I was 18 years old and I loved my father. But I started realizing that my dad was taking advantage of that love. Somebody said, how? Because I said, Dad, you know I love you. But Dad, let me tell you something. You be really hurting me with what you're saying. You be hurting me, and you know you can hurt me. That's a power you have. I'm 18, I'm realizing it. That's a power you have. But you know what, Dad? Today forward, that ain't gonna happen no more. And that day, I separated his power from affecting my life with his words that were damaging to me. And our relationship grew to the highest it had ever been. But I realized he had that power because I gave it to him, and he had it through my love for him. That's why I'm saying you got to be careful. You got to be careful. I went there, I felt that, and all those years up until that point, I did not realize what it was. But it was just something that he could say to me that penetrated me more than anybody else. I wrote in my book, The Road to Paradise, that I knew I could never become my own man until I stood up for something my father didn't believe in. Let me say it again. I realized at a young age that I could never become my own man until I could stand up for something my father didn't believe in. It wasn't a purpose thing, like I went out my way to try to find something to disagree with my father on. But my experience as a young man, my experience with the Most High that he would call a religious experience, and he did not like religion. And he would tell me how the Catholic Church was involved in the slave trade and all these things, and he just did not like it because of the information he had by how all these religions had operated during a crucial time in our history. But that wasn't my experience. I had to stand up for what I was going through, for what God was doing for me in my own personal life. And I could remember me and my father talking, and I would tell my dad what the Most High had revealed to me, right? I would tell him. And for years, he wouldn't be affected by it. At least he made me feel he wasn't affected by it. But the last 5 or 6 years of his life, he pulled me to the side. He said, "You know what, son? I have to admit, something is definitely with you." That's what he said to me. Because he could not deny the manifestations that had transpired that he's seen. He's seen the Lord deliver me from prison. He's seen me go to trial against the feds and them not have the success that they wanted to have. He had seen me say what would not happen before I entered in certain situations. He's seen it. And he had to say, "Yeah, I can't deny, son, something is definitely with you." I want you to know, Satan never physically touched Eve. He just talked to her. And the reason why this was so penetrating to me is because of the lifestyle that I come up out of. And the lifestyle I come up out of in the streets was all about finesse and conversation. In other words, I could get a girl and have her do for me what she wouldn't do for her boyfriend that she loved, right? People would say, and I'm glad that I could utilize whatever curse that I went through for the Most High to turn it into a blessing, because I'm trying to show you something. Because sometimes people haven't gone into those dark places, so they really can't relate like I can relate to Satan never touching Eve and conversating with her. But because I was in that type of lifestyle, I can break it down to you in a way that the average person that had not gone into those ways of life would even understand it. But I understand it quite well. So I said, I can get a girl and not touch her. As a matter of fact, not touch her on purpose. Maybe not even meet her. Not even meet her, but just conversate with her and tell her in a few months, I'll come out to where you are and we'll meet. But until then, I need you to handle some business. She wouldn't do that to the boyfriend that's with her 24/7. So people would ask, how is it? Because I used to lecture and I would go to universities. I went to UNLV, criminal justice class, and and allowed them to ask me any questions. And they would ask me, we're talking about conversation, they would ask me, because I told them, I said, sometimes women will be working, right, attracting very successful men and celebrities. And they were asking me, the students were asking me in the university, why would a celebrity and a superstar pay exorbitant amounts of money to be with this girl when they have all these other groupies and everything just throwing themselves and throwing sex at them? I said, do you remember the governor? I think his name was Spitzer of New York. And he lost his position because they found out that he had been frequenting a working girl, right? And nobody could understand. And I used to think, boy, if they just interviewed me, I'd just break it down real simple. I said, the governor is a man of power. He tells people what to do. It is the norm to him, but he don't feel normal. The reason why he had that working girl and the reason why he was paying her thousands of dollars, he was paying to feel normal again. The value, once you reach the status to feel normal, is priceless. You can hear Michael Jackson when he talks about how he used to have to put costumes on just to go out to feel normal. And many of you thinking that I just want to be a celebrity. I just want to be this, that, and the other. And then you lose something that you do not realize the pricelessness of, the ability just to walk down the street and just enjoy your life, because that's taken from you. I said Governor Spitzer was paying to feel normal. Because that type of girl don't care if you have governor by your name, if you have celebrity, superstar, sports figure by your name. She's going to tell you, if you want to see me, get your money ready. And that's what he's paying for. Someone who don't care about his title. Do you understand that? Okay, I'm going to break it down some more. Because I'm bringing you into a world that you know nothing about, because I have to give you a point of reference to understand the greatest fall in humankind had nothing to do with physicality. It was conversation. And I need you to have a point of reference so that you can see and understand how it is possible for something like that to happen. And not only that, for you to respect words. For you to respect words. What words can do. Because the scripture says, in the beginning was the word. So I need you to feel the weight of words. Because I've said in the class before, if you look around the universe, if you look at all the planets, if you look at the sun, if you look at all things that exist, it's only a word. It's only a word. But I need to give you a point of reference to make you understand. So that in your life, your focus will never be on the physical. Your focus will never be on the physical once you understand the power of words. And that words produce everything that you see in existence. It was the words. Like I said, because of this, what I'm telling you, it should give you the incentive to believe you can control your cravings. You can control your cravings. You think you need to touch on something, don't you? Yeah, that's a lie. So I've had a girl, and we call it in the lifestyle that I was in, automatic. It's a thing. It's called being unautomatic. What does that mean? That means you're not gonna see me for a while, maybe some months, but handle my business. Automatic. I don't have to be over there looking over her. I don't have to be wondering about what she's doing, because I've given her some words that solidifies and secures her. Now that's powerful. That's why, in particular, the lifestyle that I was in is hated more than any other life. You could be a drug dealer, you could be a killer. They would accept you. But if you was ever a gentleman of leisure, what they call a pimp, it's like they consider you the worst in the world. You know why? Because they can understand a drug dealer. They can understand a killer. They just can't understand how you can talk to her and get her to do anything for you. They think somehow we were the first. No, the greatest fall in humankind happened with conversation. Listen, I was doing a documentary one time, and it was called Prostitution 101. Some guys out of the Bay Area got in contact with me because they remembered me from American Pimp. And they knew that I helped put American Pimp together with the Hughes brothers, the famous filmmakers. You know, they did Menace to Society, Dead Presidents. They even did the movie with Denzel Washington called The Book of Eli. They did the movie with Johnny Depp called From Hell. So they were powerful professional filmmakers that wanted to do this documentary called American Pimp because their father was involved in the lifestyle and they wanted to find out about it. So they went about trying to find people in the lifestyle, and then word of mouth start growing, right? And ultimately they came and found out about my father and then found out about me. Well, at the time that they found out about me, I was living in a mansion in Frisco. And they said, "No, we've never seen anybody that we have interviewed with the success that you have. Could you help us?" They hired me as a technical advisor. And pretty much 85, 90% of the guys that was in American Pimp, I put them in there. Before I got in, Rosebud was helping to get guys, and he even told them about my father. But when they met me, they hired me. And we went around the country filming, and I was choosing guys to be in the film. So I was explaining to them, listen, there are many, many levels in this lifestyle. Many levels, right? Just like in anything else, there's many levels. I'm going to be fair enough to show you from the bottom to the top, right? Everybody operating at different levels, okay? So some people that was in the lifestyle would not have had access to the type of women that I attracted. Why? Because they didn't have the conversation. And sometimes they will appeal to a certain type of woman because they didn't have the conversation. So now watch. Listen, I said earlier that this guy, this pimp guy, and see, we're having real conversations because it's needed. People want authentic and real, something they can apply to their lives, something that's real. I always say that the Bible is rated X. The Bible is not PG. And the people that are living rated X lives are only hearing a PG Bible that they feel is not relatable to them. But I'm here to tell you everything and anything you're going through is in those scriptures. Because we are attached to what it was before the Bible, the scrolls, the oracles of God. It's in there. There's real life experiences in there. And so when we're talking from this remnant, we want to reach people where they're at. We want to let people know, I don't care how far down you think you are. All of us here have an experience. You're not scaring us nor moving us with how far and deep down you think you are. We can relate to it. And we want to give enough information. Why do you think God brought us from the places he brought us from? Because I can go into places and relate to the people that sometimes can walk in the church and the church is rated PG, dancing with flowers in their head. And people out there with their life on the line every day. They ain't never seen a flower. Young kids thinking about, can I make it to school without being killed? This is the reality. And this is why we talk real stuff. And God brought me out of real stuff. So when I look back, it don't look dark to me like it looked to the average person. When I look, I see light and opportunity. Because I've been there. Do you understand? That's why the scripture says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. I've been there. And whatever I've been through, no matter how dark it was, I could pull out the information and prevent you from having to go through what I went through. Or if you're in it, give you a guide and a light how to transition out of it. That's real. And that's what we're going to always be, real and authentic. So when I say to you, Adam never physically touched Eve, he just talked to her. I'm giving you how that is possible. I'm telling you there is an information, a conversation that transcends a touch. Don't you know you can talk to somebody? And so much so that when you finally do just touch them, they're aroused. Right? You never did anything. You never intimately did anything. But the conversation was so powerful that just a touch was sufficient. So now, what am I to do? Am I to come over here on this side, since I'm over here in the remnant, and not give remnant men and women the information to empower themselves? Am I not supposed to say, look, bro, let me explain something to you. If you react and respond like this, you're diminishing yourself. Because I teach that in the remnant. Be careful not to do this, not to do that. Because in a woman's eyes, you're going to diminish yourself. Because ain't nobody teaching men value today. All men are thinking is that the most important thing is the elevation of sex, passion. That's it. Because no one has told them there's something far more greater than physical touch. So no man is studying within themselves. You know, they call it a Renaissance man, is a man that knows a little bit about a lot of different situations, because he is focused on developing himself because someone has told him the key of how to make himself valuable. Right? Sure enough, you go to the gym, you work out, get your muscles and everything, you go get your money, and you know, I understand that, right? Because you're feeling like that gives you some armor. So you got your muscles, you went and got you a good job, so you got you some money. So you feel confident now. So you got the girl. And here come a guy who just got conversation. Take your girl from you. I done seen it happen a bunch of times. He don't got your job, your money, but he got conversation that penetrates her in areas that your money can't, that your muscles can't. See, there's things that open up when you can touch. Hey, let me say it like this. There was a woman. She was dating my dad. This is not on racist stuff, but I want to just tell you what she said to me. As a young boy, teenager. And I don't know how true it is, but I know it was true to her because she told me. Right? And I was curious. She was dating my dad, and I asked her. I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Have you ever dated outside your race?" She says, "No." I said, "Oh, why?" This is what she said, black woman. She said, "Because a man outside of my race can't touch my soul." I was like, "Oh my God. Ooh, what? What does that mean?" I was just a teenager. I was like, what does that mean? Well, there must be some brothers with some conversation, man. That's what I'm saying. There's a conversation that can touch a soul. I lived it, I know it. There's a conversation that can touch your soul. Look, when you come to the remnant, and I begin to tell you about the information, there's nothing more powerful than the information in the whole world. Even guys in the game, they got a certain part of knowing how to attract a woman. They don't got this information. See, I see the deficiencies even in the lifestyle.
Grab it. And get
The great deficiencies. One of the reasons why when I left, I never came back. I see a deficient in many of the street activities. Not only that, but I see it in government too. I see it in law enforcement. I see deficiencies everywhere.
Now,
when I was doing police accountability, I found out that 40% of law enforcement officers, 40% have committed domestic violence. 40%?
Yeah, no reason to be that bad.
Have committed domestic violence? Here. Is that why you keep whooping on my people? Because you mad at home? No, he ain't got no conversation, honey. You see what I'm saying? So when you get this information, right? You know what it gives you? Who got it? What does this information give you? Who got it? What? What? Conversation, baby. Oh, it give you conversation. I bet you ain't never been able to talk like you talk right now. I bet you ain't never been able to talk like you talk right now. And when you talk, is there authority to your voice? When you talk, do you feel powerful because you know what you're talking about? Y'all remember when Brandon came? Brandon was always sharp, but Brandon was more timid. He had been through life experiences. I ain't putting him on blast. I'm elevating him. But oh, when that information got inside of Brandon, the authority kicked out. The man popped out. The confidence popped out. And when he was sick at home in New York in the hospital, he didn't even let that stop him from coming to be here. So the strength, the faith, the integrity, you can't tell him nothing about this remnant. That's a man. Look at what it's done for you. Look how authentic you are. When you're thinking about a woman, she don't look the same. We love all women, but you don't love her more than you love yourself. That means you can lead. There's nothing confusing going on here. That means you can lead. The problem is that you've been taught to love somebody more than you love yourself. Only God takes that position. See, when your woman knows you got the information and you reflect that to her, and she knows she ain't first, and her not being first ain't about no woman. It's about your conviction. It's about your God. When you lay that down, reverence and respect automatically comes to the forefront. And the world telling you to get reverence and respect, you gotta have some money. No, you gotta have this information so you can have some conversation. My dad used to say, you know, the difference between a guy in the game and a square is after a square is intimate with a woman, he don't got nothing to say. He developed enough conversation just to be intimate, and that's it. But after a man in the game is intimate, he got something to say still. He always got something to say. But you know there's a stimuli with a man that always got something to say, powerful, always leading, always got direction in his life. It's exciting. It's exciting for her. You'd be wondering how these guys get girls like that. Because they're excited. They're constantly excited. The man keeps pumping in. He just keeps it pumping. It's true. And I'm just sharing with you guys. That's right, grandson. It's confirmation, grandson. Let's go back. Satan never physically touched Eve. Never. He just talked to her. Doesn't that look different now? Doesn't that look different? Doesn't that make you respect the art of words? But if you ain't got nothing inside of you, you ain't gonna have nothing to say. That's why the information is so powerful, because it keeps you full. I always got something to say about this information. And I can apply it to everyday life anytime. I'm always full. I always got an answer for you. I always got direction and instruction for you. That's what that information gives you. All praises to the Most. That deserves a clap. Yes, indeed. That's what's so powerful about the information. Because I have something to say, covered, baby. Covered. Direction, covered. Because when he was talking to her, he was popping it. He said, you know, Eve, let me get in character. Baby girl E, let me holler at you. You laughing at me? Baby girl E, let me holler at you. What you want? You see that fruit over there? You like it, don't you? Oh, it's nice, but God said that, don't be messing with these fruits around here. Oh, baby girl, God just know if you mess with it, you won't be able to see. See what? Everything, baby, everything. You know what I'm saying? He was talking, man. And he planted that seed inside of her. And she was thinking, well, everything? You heard what I said, didn't you? Don't you want to see everything? See, that's what the pimps be doing. I'm going to take you everywhere, wherever you think you want to go. You want to travel? Done. What you want to do? We're going to buy stuff. And it's not like they be lying, not the real ones. They willing to go. Listen, let me tell you a situation. Because I'm out of it. I can talk about it. I've been married 27 years. Listen, I had this girl, this was years ago. She was from Hawaii. Beautiful girl. Doug knows her. Doug know a lot of the people who I was with before. Everything in our life is transparent, right? Because I wasn't like what people might think the game was. I even had children with some of the women that I was in the lifestyle with. Oh, they're not in the lifestyle, of course. Some of them remarried. The girl that was with me the longest is a nurse. Not just any kind of nurse. She's a nurse practitioner where she can open up her own office, right? And she took some of the things that I taught her and applied it to her life and is successful today and married. And we got our child. But what I'm saying to you is that I had this girl who was from Hawaii, beautiful Hawaiian. I always wanted to go to Hawaii. Consequently, the remnant is going to Hawaii in September. All praises. Not on that tip though, but anyway. But anyway, this is a funny story, right? So, one of them guys out there, slick talkers, he talking to my girl. This is what you tell me. Or somebody else tell me that's seen it. So he's going over to her. Hey, boy, if I just had you, I'd take you to Hawaii. Boy, the girl come from Hawaii. I'm just saying, the conversations be limited, right? That was what he thought was the biggest thing, not knowing I brought her from Hawaii, bro. Your conversation needs to step up a little bit, right? Just experiences, man, of learning things. Also, if you don't have any weight behind you, this information gives you weight. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the remnant know of this story, but I'm going to tell you guys this story. I had a girl, same girl, and she was testing me. Situations that you can apply to life and you understand. She was testing me and she was telling me that, baby, I just want to take care of your business by myself. I had 2 other girls, right? But this is, real life situation that taught me some things, right? That I'm trying to teach you. And so she already knows what we did. This is the life we live. And, I can have multiple girls and all this. But because she was the one making the majority of the money, she said, I just want to take care of you. Sweet like that. Oh, baby, I just want to take care of your business by myself. I didn't hear that sweet. I said, I think you're really telling me that you don't want me to have nobody else. I said, I miss you and I love you, right? But I already told you from the gate, if you ever try to try me, I'm going to show up. Who going to show up? The man I told you I was. I'm going to stand on the principles of what I believe. As much as I care for you, as much as money that you're making, this is probably about 1991. I had $7,000 of bills every month, but I'm going to stand up. And she left. And she left, and I still had to deal with the $7,000 of bills. But this is what the point that I'm making. You got to have some weight, because the average guy would have said, forget them other girls, I got these $7,000 of bills, and would have compromised. And what I tell people is that many times in situations in relationship, the test comes. The test comes, right? And this was the test. Was your integrity of who you said you were as a man, is that bigger than that money and them things you getting in? Who I am as a man is bigger. And I told her, if it costs me losing everything, you can go. And she went. Most guys would have folded right there. If I didn't have any weight, if my father didn't tell me the importance of manhood, if my father didn't teach me that there was nothing more important than that, I would have gave in to me worrying about this money or anything. And when the test comes, it comes to see if you are everything you say you are. You know what? If I would have gave in, I would have lost her anyway, because I would have lost her respect. How many times have I said to you, Remnant, I've had a lot of women who were with me and loved another man. They just didn't respect him. You have to ask yourself if you have the weight inside of you. If you have that weight inside of you. That is the very thing that's going to separate you as a man from males. You know what happened? She came back. She left again a while later. But you know what happened? I knew at any time that I wanted her, that I could easily get her back to come with me. Because what was not lost was who I said as a man. So the respect she had for me to this day is still intact. But the world teaches you that there's something more important than your manhood. Oof. They teach you that money is more important and things. And I'm telling you, there can't be nothing more important than it. I've been there. I've been there in a lifestyle that provided multiple women and how I held that thing together. Somebody might think they're sleazy, they're this, that, other. Sure, there are people that are like that. But people who are primary understand that one principle. And if anybody can tell you about how to operate with some woman, don't you think it would be a man that came dealing with a lot of women? You better listen. And it wasn't because I was slippery or slight, because I was willing to do without and was challenged with it many times. So now I've been married 27 years, and all those fundamentals that I learned from that lifestyle is still applying today. What I'm going to get rid of the truth. Sometimes you can pull out many deep truths from dark places. Right? You can pull out truths from dark places. And I'm telling you, it works. It worked in the streets, and it works now. 27 years married to this beauty right here. Come here, Doug.
I was thinking about.
Come on, I knew you needed something. I knew you wanted to say something. I could feel it in my
because
spirit.
I was thinking about you
Talk
with the
to
mic
the-
on.
No, we'll talk to the thing.
When you told me when we first met, well, it was a while after we first met, he said, because, the Most High been talking to him since he was 16 years old, and the presence was with him even before that. And he told me something one time. He said, he been having these conversations with the Most High for a long time, yet he never touched the Most High one time. That gave me chills right now, because the Most High be pouring into us, and we ain't never physically seen nor touched him one time. All praises. That just give me goosebumps to know that, because people's minds be so caught up with sex, right? The pleasure of the mind and the indoctrination is cold-blooded, right? And like you said, just from conversation, we are where we're at today in this world through indoctrination, through conversation, through words is where we are at today. And I know when I first met him, never operating conversation, whether it's conversation, whatever anybody is thinking about what it was utilized for, there was never any deceit or dishonesty. I never seen that one day in my life from any individual. So when this man came into my life, it was not just a breath of fresh air, but before even receiving the information about the Most High, receiving the truth turned me. That conversation of truth is what brought me in. Yes, he may have came from the lifestyle. Yes, he has amazing conversation, but that conversation just did not stem from being in the lifestyle. It came from having a relationship with the Most High, right? It came from his Father, spiritually, divinely dropped down to this individual. Because we've all heard all the lies and that's why when someone like him comes along and has a conversation, it's easy to be blown away. One time somebody, and this might have been a few times online, be talking about, oh yeah, he trained her well. Oh yeah, he manipulated her well. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Because as you continue to listen, you think that you robbing me of something by saying that I'm an image of him. Somebody even said that I was his mimicked microphone or something crazy. But you're not downing me, because if you saying that I'm an image of this guy, I know he's the image of the Most High. So you ain't taking nothing from me. You actually letting me already know, thank you, I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing. Because if that's what you see, that's what I'm trying to give you, right? I wanted to read from James 3:6. And like he said, and Remit already know, most people in the Remit area and online, people know this man has relationships, friends with every single one of his exes. They love each other. He has kids with them. I've never seen a man keep a relationship with every single one of his women that he's ever been with, ever in life, right? Never. So that goes to show you something about an individual's character and integrity when they can sit up here and tell you that. And when I found that out, I found it hard to believe a little bit. But because I already came to the understanding of
not sexual.
Yeah. Friendship. They still love each other. You know what I'm saying? And that, like I said, tells a lot about an individual, a man who still has a relationship with his exes is absolutely beautiful, right? Because it lets you know that who messed up, right? Because if he messed up, they ain't gonna be friends, right? So it's power and death in conversation, right? And that's why we teach you to conquer the indoctrination that we've been taught. James 3:6 says, the tongue also is a fire. A world, what do we say words create? Worlds of evil among the parts of the body. Ooh, not just the mouth, but the whole body? Dang. It corrupts the whole body. It corrupts and sets the whole course of one's entire life on fire. That's crazy. Let me go back. Did y'all get that? The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body. Dang. Sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. It got quiet. By hell. Ephesians 4:29 says, do not, with the first two words, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. When I first met my husband and we started having a relationship, I was just a holy terror, just in this indoctrination, angry, bitter, angry Black woman, you know, just the epitome of that word. That was me. That was me from head to toe. And one day he told me, you would think somebody that comes from that lifestyle, because all people know and feel is that somebody is going to tear you down and make your life worse and use you. This man came into my life and raised me up in the word of the Most High, and first let me know that everything I was going through in my life was my fault. I didn't like that. And I would try to argue him down, and then he was like, look, you know, because I used to have a problem. I couldn't even go to the store without cussing somebody out, right? I'm going to ask you, what the F you looking at? What, you know, what, you know? And they would be like, oh, I just wanted to tell you your eyes are pretty, or your hair is pretty, or you're pretty, or, and I wouldn't even say thank you, you guys. I would just look at them crazy, roll my eyes, and keep going. Just the angry at everybody. And he told me this. He said, because he said, you know, it's not everybody else, it's you. He said, you just don't value yourself. And I'm getting mad, but I'm getting mad because I don't even know what value looks like. I don't even know what that means. What do you mean I don't value myself, right? So when he broke down the value of self, he said, look, when you go to the store today, because mind you, when the night I first met him, I was cussing people out at the club for stepping on my foot, you know. So it was just crazy. Like, if nobody could just bump me, you know, the club is crowded, and you know somebody gonna touch you, but to me it was a bump. That's how we are. I know it's a lot of women out there like that, and a lot of men too. Can't even budge you a little bit because you're gonna think somebody just done ran up on you and purposely try to bump you to cause some issues, right? So he said, do this. When you go out, when somebody looks at you, just smile. Just start there. You know, just smile at them and just keep going, you know. So I tried that. I said, okay, I'm going to do it, okay? Even though I just kept trying to tell him it wasn't me, right? So I said, I'm going to try it. And when I went out, I tried it. And the thing that I got back was the smile, somebody giving me a smile, me smiling back, and them smiling. And it did something to me inside. You guys just don't even know. Where I came from, I could just cry right now because I did not know that I could have changed my life a long time ago had I had this relief doctrine. Had I had this information of knowing what value is spiritually, and just in the indoctrination, just knowing what valuing yourself looks like. What is that, right? Then he was like, okay, you know, if you go out, you know, and somebody's smiling, just, you know, say, how you doing? You know, and thank you. Somebody says something to you, thank them, you know? And then I start doing that. That simple but powerful gesture changed the trajectory of my whole life to this day. I do not have those issues unless I take it upon myself to go backwards, right? And that is not something that I want to do. And so, like I said, this information, just the power of the tongue, the power of conversation, the power of the right conversation, right? Especially this relief doctrine, this information can change your whole life. So then when I got the information, I understood what he told me when he said, I have this information. The Most High been talking to me since I was 16. And I love him more than anything in the world. And I have not seen or touched him one time. One time, remnant. One time, family. One time, everybody watching. Not one time, but yet we have this powerful information that have been downloaded to us, to the remnant, to all the people that he want to reach, to let you know. Somebody made a comment last week and said, well, I can't be remnant because my cuss too much. Every single word I said before I met this man was a cuss word. I was worse than a sailor. I should have just been a drunken woman sailor because every word was a cuss word. I cussed at my kids. I just cussed. My mama and daddy let me cuss. You could do anything you want to do with this release doctrine, right?
Well, praise.
So just let you know that God is good. All praises.
Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it and indulge it will eat its fruit and bear the consequences of their words." This is very true. I've had personal experience in this. I've definitely built some people up tremendously, but I also have torn people down. And I'll tell you one thing, once you come to the realization that you have tore somebody down and that you've had the power to have a negative effect on their life that carries with them for a long time, if not to the end of their life, it's a very humbling experience to go back in and have to restore that, right? To have to bring whatever restoration you can. And sometimes the damage is so bad that they don't even want you to restore it. They don't have nothing to do with you. Sometimes all you can do is pray on that situation. And it's a blessing when you can communicate with that person, when you can give life and breathe life back into an individual because you know how to do it. But man, you got to be careful with that thing. This right here is definitely mightier than the sword. Definitely mightier than the sword. The pen is mightier than the sword. You know, that pen comes from this tongue. It comes from that mind. You know, the words we speak out into the world can do so much damage, but they can also give so much love too. And so we just have to be mindful of that. Me, myself personally, had to learn that over the years, and still work on it to this day, right now, every day. So I just want to share that. Okay. We got key. You got one?
Blessings. Now, it is some words that have been on my spirit for the past week, and those words are the great escape. And, I want to give a little backstory of where I'm going, referring to the story of Joseph in Genesis, the son of Jacob. And when he was 17 years old, he had a dream, and he actually had two dreams. The first dream, it showed that he would rule over, his brothers. He would rule over, his family. And, he told his brothers and he was so excited about it. And then he had another dream again, saying like the same thing. And he told his father and his brothers, they weren't, and they felt the way about it. They were, jealous about, him having that dream. Like, what you mean you gonna rule over us? What you mean? And jealousy has to act. And he ended up telling his father about the dream as well. And his father was in disbelief. So, time goes on, and his brothers, that hatred grows within his brothers, because even before he had the dream, his brothers hated how his father favored him already. So when he told him that dream, it was all right. That's how you okay. That's how you feel? All right. So the hatred got to the point where his brothers wanted to kill him. And they were plotting on doing it. And so one of the brothers was like, nah, we ain't gonna do him like that. We ain't gonna kill him, but we can sell him as a slave to the Ishmaelites. Yeah. So they ended up selling their brother as a slave, and he ends up in Egypt. And so he's in Egypt, and things transpire. He ends up being in a certain area. He ends up being with the king, and he's in the house and the situation happens. He goes to jail, and within that time, he's developing, he's growing, and he ends up being like over everyone in the prison. And a couple of guys come into the prison, they have some dreams, and he shares with them the interpretation of the dreams that they had. So it is time goes on, and the pharaoh, he has a dream that he can't decipher what's going on about the dream. So he is telling everybody in the land, I'm trying to figure out this dream. Who can tell me the interpretation of this dream? And so he ends up getting word about Joseph. And so he gets Joseph, and he tells Joseph about the dream. And Joseph's like, oh yeah, bro, it's about to be a famine over here. It's about to be a famine, and you're gonna need to plan some things out. So he ends up getting uh getting rule over the land under the Pharaoh, right? And so in the land of Canaan is where his family was. So this is a pretty bad famine. It's going on for years, and it spreads. And so his family is, they're dealing with this, and they need food. So Joseph has been here for some time, and now his brothers, his family are in need. And it's the scripture that I want to go to, because his brothers ended up coming to him, and they didn't even know, they didn't even recognize who his brother was, because of the growth that he's had and the things that he'd been through. They couldn't even recognize him, just being in this information and just the growth that you get. People don't even recognize you. Your own family don't even know who you are, because you are back to your original culture. You are the original man. But let me go up in this scripture, man. Genesis 45, verse 5. Now his brothers came to him, and they were in need. And so he sent them back, and then they still didn't know. Now they're having conversations, because Joseph has a translator. So the brothers don't even know that he speak the way that he's speaking in the language in Hebrew. And they come back, they go and do something that Joseph wanted them to do, still not knowing who he is, right? And so they come back, and the love that Joseph had inside of him, for his brothers, because it's still his brothers, and the love that the remnant operate in, man, just the world that we live in is just so much evil that people operate in, but we still operate in love, because it ain't about them. It's about the Most High, right? So his brothers, he ended up revealing to them, listen, man, I'm Joseph. You can't tell? It's me. I'm just what you it's your brother. And they are just in so much disbelief that that's their brother, and they're like, oh man, we ain't mean to sell you as a slave, you know what I'm saying? They was feeling bad about what they did. And this is what Joseph had said to them. He said, now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you have sold me here. You see that love right there, man? For the Most High sent me ahead of you to save life and preserve our family. You know what I'm saying? They hating on their brother and don't even realize what their brother is about to do for the world. You know what I'm saying? And then for he's speaking on the famine that occurred and why they're even there. He says, for the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are still 5 more years in which there will be no plowing and harvesting. And then he says, the Most High sent me to Egypt. And I gotta stop right there. I gotta stop right there because, like the vessel say, I'm about to turn the corner. Let me start from the top of that again. Verse 7. The Most High sent me to Seattle ahead of you to preserve for a remnant on the earth and to keep you alive by a great escape. You know what I'm saying? My family doing all that extra stuff. When we coming out here, and you don't even realize we here to get our people, man. That's what we here to do. You don't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the great escape. Y'all don't see that the Most High sent the remnant here to Seattle to do this work. We here to do this work and to get our people, man. But you'll realize it one day. You'll realize it. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. What I wanted to talk about was because I talked about last week. What's your name? My name is Brandon Contasti. So if you see me, my name is Brandon Contasti, Contast. And I wanted to talk about love has expectations, because we had a situation with our loved one. His name is Jabari, right? For those that don't know, and he was doing what he was doing, and it caused a situation where he had to leave or temporarily leave if he decides to get back right. But what I've learned from that, or what it reminded me of, was that when you come around the remnant, when you come around God's culture, He has this expectation of you because He loves you. The love starts from Him because He says in John 14:15, let me get it right. Yeah, 14:15, if you really love me, you'll keep and obey my commandments. And so when I was observing the situation with our loved one Jabari, which we do forgive him for the stuff that he's done, and I personally had to forgive him myself, because when I was observing the situation, I could see that what he's done, the underhandedness and everything that he might have done, it can cause you to be angry. It can cause you to be frustrated, right? And I knew I had to show up in that love because Most High is expecting me to show up in that love because He loved me first. So I didn't want to look at him and say, well, he can't get back. What he's done is not even compared to what some of our ancestors might have done, like Paul, like Nephew D was saying in the chat a couple of days ago. He was the biggest murderer, and he still came back around. So the Most High, the love that, I don't want to put this.
Because when you're out there in that indoctrination, you don't have the expectation. That the indoctrination doesn't give you that expectation. It just says that this is how you're supposed to be. You should show up any kind of way. You could have came from this, but you could have, let me part it, right? They don't expect anything, nothing from you. You could be anything, you could be at anything. And, you know, when our loved one came to us, he showed up the way he showed up. And the Most High loved him so, particularly him so much, that he's demanding of him to show up a certain kind of way because he loves you. It's not because he despises you. That some people out there really don't love you because they expect you to do all kinds of things. Get caught up in that weed, get caught up in that the acts of different women and all that stuff. And they really don't have the same love that the Most High. It's not even about the particular individuals in the remnant. It's about what the Most High has for you. And he has something greater for you that I might not even see or anybody else might want to see. And so what I'm seeing from that is that we love you so much, or the Most High love you so much, that he had to separate himself just so you could see the difference of the love, because you never came across it. You never came across it before. You never came across it before. And I did touch on this last week, that the Most High had to show me that. I was out there in indoctrination before I came here. And then once I've received the love, it kind of keeps me going because I know that there's a difference. And it's the same thing he's going to have to learn. And hopefully, just like Joe was talking to him that night, you don't fear that love that I mentioned last week, that you decide to say, I don't think that's for me. So, you know, Jabbar, we love you. The Most High loves you. And you can definitely get back on your feet. That's it.
From it somewhere. People, y'all watch old classes, so watch the old class about Dre talking about how he sends the word. Once upon a time, Dre used to send women, right? And he would tell these women, bring me my money, right? And I thought about that. I told the Most High, you know, I would like to send the word as well. You know, bring me my money. Right? You have a class you see about what's your acts. And I asked the Most High, you know, bring me my money. And he responded and said, I've already given it to you. I need you to operate and continue to be civilian with me. So, along with that, he told me, since I've given you this honor, I'm going to allow Satan to send some obstacles towards your way. And I need you to be prepared for that. So, something like having that work today, simple, but it turned out to be something else. About 3 o'clock, 3:15, you know, having a conversation with my mom, and the Holy Spirit was like, you're informing It's gonna make you lazy. So, yeah. So, I just finished my last run and talking to one of my coworkers, and he's like, yeah, everything is cool, it's a wrap. We about to get out of here. Mind you, we are in West Seattle, like one of these old rail yards. Yeah. All right, all right. So yeah, we in West Seattle, which is about hour and 45 minutes away from Puyallup. And my coworker goes to talk to the foreman, and my coworker comes back and he's like, yeah, he wants you to get out the truck and come help the guys on the ground. So I'm like, oh, bro, that ain't happening, man. You know I got my meeting tonight. So he was like, well, you need to go discuss that with him. Get out the truck, go talk to him. He's like, yeah, I need you to get on the ground and help the guys. Like, man, you know I got something to do every Wednesday. So he was like, oh, you know what? Just get out of here. So usually there is a notice on our schedule every Wednesday that I'm supposed to be off at a particular time. The notice wasn't on there this particular day, right? So, you know, the Most High was showing me how to deal with a situation that He's already shown me it was going to happen. You know, we had a class, I think Tuesday, that was yesterday, on IG about, you know, how do you respond when the Most High tells you something is going to happen, or show you that something is going to happen before it actually happens, right? And I was prepared for it. I felt like I handled it calmly, but just the thought of being late to our new situation, our new setting, and me approaching the Most High with my ass. You know, there's always going to be situations and circumstances on how the Most High reaches out to us, and we still have to stand up in it. You know, we still have to be submitted and obedient. We still have to fight that good fight of faith, right? So I'm fashionably late, but I made it here. And maybe like 3 or 4 accidents was on I-5. On my way, exit 147, I run out of gas, right? Called Drew. Drew's like, man, just get you a couple gallons of water, put some diesel in there, and be on your way. So I do that. And as I'm paying for the fuel, the guy behind the register is like, what you finna do with that? I say, man, just give me 10 on 2. Let me go handle my business. So I get the get the water, go outside, pour the water out, put the diesel in the jugs. Now I broke down, or ran out of gas rather, 20 feet away from the Chevron, right? On my way to get fuel. Should have got fuel ahead of time, but being hard-headed, all right? But I knew Holy Spirit had already told me he's gonna be late today, right? So I'm just going with the flow. Put the fuel in the truck, start the truck, pull into the gas station, come back in. I'm already dressed, so the guy behind the register is like, why you so happy? I was like, man, you don't even know, man. Today has been a day, man. And you know, I'm on my way to something great, right? So fuel up, I make it here. And you know, it just showed me how being poised, being calm under pressure, knowing that the Most High is always going to give you a way out. You just have to operate in that, right? So something else I want to talk about. The Holy Spirit put this on my heart about certain people in the world praying and, you know, their prayers not being heard. I think the Most High gave Dre a dream about, I think it goes
There's not one prayer that you pray or your family prays that goes unnoticed. And we in the remnant, we know and understand that uh, the Most High hears our prayers. And we are the first generation family to Dre, you know, as the remnant, right? And there may be some individuals who may feel like the Most High doesn't hear their prayers, right? And the Holy Spirit gave me Isaiah 59, verse 1 through 2. And it says, "Behold, the Lord's hand is not so short that it cannot save." That means, you know, his hand is big enough to stretch over the entire universe. You know, no matter where you are, no matter where you're seated, no matter what you're going through, his hand can cover you, right? And it says, nor his ear so impaired that it cannot hear. Just letting you know that no matter where you are, no matter where you stand, he can hear your prayers, right? But your wickedness has separated you from your God, and your sins have hidden his face from you, so that he does not hear you. So if you feel like the Most High is not hearing your prayers, you're probably doing something you got to be doing. You know, you're probably out here sinning. You're probably out here rebelling against the Most High. And if you have not uh, lifted up a standard in your own life, then the Most High is probably not going to hear your prayers, right? And then he confirms it with John 9:31. And all this is in the Amplified. And it says, we know, right? The remnant knows. We know what's going on. According to your tradition, all right, our culture, that God does not hear sinners. All right, this is confirmation that if you are sinning, you are doing things you ain't got no business doing, the Most High ain't got no rap for you. You know, it's really that simple. So some things that you need to change in your life, some things that you need to do, right? And then it says, but if anyone fears God and does his will, he hears him. And that's simply put, submission and obedience, what we stand by, you know, the way we carry ourselves, the way we operate day in and day out, right? And this led me to something else. When I was watching something on YouTube of how D. Rockefeller was breaking down to one of his proteges how to get money, right? And a part of that was, you know, him getting ready to publish the book. And the publishers told him, how about you change the name of the book from How to Get Rich? The book was called How to Be Rich. And the publishers wanted him to change it to How to Get Rich, right? And he was breaking down how, you know, it's easy to get rich in life. You know, it comes with exploration of the world. You know, the world opens up like an abyss, right? And Holy Spirit was like, you see that right there? It is easy to become remnant, right? Even, you know, it's a simple thing, right? And he broke it down to me like this. Becoming remnant is simple. It can be seen as easy even. Anyone can become a remnant simply by saying, I'm a remnant, right? Just word of mouth. Not realizing there is a standard to be upheld, a sacrifice, and an offering to the Most High, a giving up of one's life, right? Now, that giving up of one's life, somebody would ask, you mean I got to die to get into the remnant? And I would tell you, you're already dead, bro. When you come in here, you die to all your vices, you die to all your shortcomings, all your strongholds, anything that's hindering you in life, you die to that. You die to the world. You die to any kind of defeat, anything that you were unsuccessful in, right? You die to those things and you are given life through this information, right? And there's a scripture that does always talk about Matthew 16:25, and it says, "For whoever wishes to save his life in this world will eventually lose it." So if you are operating, being underhanded, being conniving, being slick, full of the indoctrination and socialization, you end up losing your life. Eventually lose it through death, right? But whoever loses his life in this world for my sake will find it. That is life with me for all eternity. So once you get into the remnant, you are given life through submission and obedience, through this information, and through Yahushua. And this is Yahushua speaking in the book of Matthew, right? So this lets you know that you are dead in the world, right? You come to the remnant, you die to the world, and then you are then given life to move forward and conquer everything that comes in your trajectory of life, right? And it's not until the tests and the trials come, that one begins to question himself about becoming a remnant man or a remnant woman, right? And we know that we don't question anything about what the Most High has put us through. We understand the work that needs to be done, and we're going to stand firm in that, right? And we have a saying that everything has to match. And to be remnant, everything has to match. First and foremost, you come in with valuing this information, valuing this culture, valuing the offering of giving up your life, understanding that there's certain things that you just have to let go once you become remnant. And we've all done that. Like he said, we've paved the way for you guys that are now coming in, the ones of you that are on your way, and the ones of you that are still contemplating. Like if you straddling the fence, you consider that as lukewarm, and the Most High will spit you out. You understand? You need to make a decision where you with us or you against us, right? And it's just really that simple. So being remnant is a hard task. It comes with, like I said, submission and obedience and understanding that you're going to do what the Most High told you to do. No ifs, ands, buts about it. When the obstacles come, you stand firm in that. Situations and circumstances come, you stand firm in that, right? Being a man is part of doing certain things that you really don't want to do. I've been there. Been in a lot of situations where I had to make do because I was in my feelings or in my emotions about something, knowing that that's improper. That's not a good moral character. That's not, what is it called? Personal integrity. These are the things that we live by. These are the things that we stand for. And I hope that you individuals that are on your way over here, watching us every Wednesday, can take heed to what's going on and understand that this is not a game. You cannot come into this information playing, or you will be removed. Nobody wants to see the hand of the Most High. Like, we can give you love, we can show you how to move, how to walk this walk, but the Most High holds the terms. There's nothing that we can do to get in his way when he brings that belt out. Thank you all. Be blessed. Oh, okay. All right.
Ask Doug where it is. Thank you. That's it for tonight. We'll see you next week. We love you. For all of you who are new to the Remnant, welcome. We do this every Wednesday night. Plus, we have classes, detailed classes, Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. Get into class. There's thousands, like all the platforms. We have over 1,000 classes on all different types of subjects. I'd advise you to get in class. All praise to the Most High. We're out. Thank you.